I gave up watching crime shows for a year and it completely changed my life for the better. Do you identify as somebody who's overly anxious? Are you a cluster of nerves? Do you think your mood swings and attitude are cute? Maybe you need to chill the out on your media consumption as well. Hi, I'm Mariam, U.S. Army veteran, former Miss Pakistan finalist, and currently own a successful in-home care agency in California. More than that, I've recovered from terrible habits and addictions, and currently am living the life of my dreams, serving others. And I want the same for you. If you want the same, please hang around and subscribe to my channel. I used to be a bundle of nerves. I constantly felt like I was on edge. I would have problems sleeping. I always felt like something was gonna happen. I even walked around with a stabby thing on my keychain. What did I watch, subscribe, listen to on the constant for 8 years straight? Crime shows. Literally everything I consumed was either cold cases, crimes, murder, serial killers. My favorite of all, though, was the crime and makeup on YouTube, where women would put on makeup and talk about different crime shows. And Bailey, I love you, girl, but that's some dark. I obviously know the reason why I was edgy and constantly anxious and felt like something was gonna happen to me, because that was all I consumed. That's all I listened to, and that was all I was around all the time. So I decided about a year and a half ago that I was gonna stop watching these YouTube videos with the girls doing their makeup and talking about crime, and decided to turn to my podcasts instead. And of course, my podcast is serial killers and cold cases and unsolved mysteries, so that had to go. So Netflix also had to go, unfortunately, because again, Dahmer was my guy and that's all I wanted to watch. It was just not worth the constant anxiety and the anxiousness that I felt to continue to watch these kinds of shows. So then I turned to music, thinking there's my solace, I can listen to music. But I like 90s rap and early 2000. I don't know what you kids are listening to nowadays, don't know. Anybody who knows 90s and early 2000 rap knows what it's about. So that had to go. And also my beloved country. Yes, I love country, like with a capital L, love country. But it was just so sad and sappy and weepy. That had to go too. Sam Hunt, I love you. Morgan Wallen, I love you. But you guys just made me so sad and depressed. So literally overnight, my life became silent. Do you know how deafening silence is? When is the last time you did anything with just complete and utter silence? No music, no podcast, no Netflix, no Hulu, no nothing in the background. It's loud. Silence is loud. The first couple weeks, I just could not cope. I could not cope. It was just awkward and uncomfortable. I tried listening to binaural beats. It wasn't cutting it for me. I tried to consume or listen to positive videos, movies, people. It wasn't my jam, not just yet. I just missed the constant companionship almost of these podcasters, these YouTubers. And I just remember one day I was laying on the floor of my bedroom and I had this sudden urge to want to read. And I had bought a Kindle the year prior during Cyber Monday, and I went and found it, dusted it off. When it was finally charged, the last thing that I had read on there was something about intuitive eating. And so I started to browse through the categories and came across a few titles of spirituality and business. Those two topics never interested me before, but they were like just really calling out to me. So I downloaded a bunch of books on Kindle and I just started reading. When I was younger, I used to have my dad take me to the library and I would check out the max books. It was like 50 books that you could check out where I grew up. I mean, they were all R.L. Stine Goosebumps, but I mean, I love to read, it was the point. And I had completely forgotten my love to read until now, when I decided to give up all these podcasts, Netflix, YouTubes on crime. So it was really nice to rediscover my love for reading. Is there any activity that you used to do as a child that you really forgot about or would like to reintroduce? I don't know, like dancing, arts and crafts maybe, whatever else other than scrolling Netflix and watching random stuff on IG. So as the year went on, I realized that I started to prefer the silence. I started to enjoy my quiet drives. I actually realized that at the gym, I was a lot more focused when there was complete silence. And I'm not saying that everybody has to do this, but I know for me, I learned to listen to my inner voice and acknowledge what I was saying or thinking or feeling at the moment. And I also, during this time, realized that I wasn't my thoughts and emotions, that they were just kind of sailing ships in my mind. Before that, I never had a time to really just hear myself think or feel whatever it is that I was going through. If I felt anxious, I would pick up my phone and go on IG, go on YouTube, or turn on a podcast to drown out whatever the feeling it was that I was feeling. During this year, I realized that I needed to identify what this is that I was feeling and perceiving. So as the year went on and I started to get accustomed to the silence, I was able to catch myself and hear myself speak to myself. And boy, I was not nice to myself. So with the silence came an awareness on how I spoke to myself, an awareness on identifying emotions and feelings instead of absorbing myself in social media or binge watching Netflix on the weekends. I learned to journal, which was new to me, and I always knew I wanted to journal, but I never got around to it. So not only articulating the emotions and feelings that I had, but actually writing them down and identifying them, I felt like my emotional intelligence skyrocketed this past year. So it's been a year since I gave up, actually more than a year, that I gave up TV and social media that was crime related, and I still don't have a TV, and I'm very minimal with my social media consumption now. I do have my Instagram back and Facebook and TikTok, but I'm very intentional about my time because I realized that I just felt way much more peace when I was living my actual day-to-day life and listening to my inner emotions and feelings and acknowledging what I was going through. I'm a strong believer now, after experiencing what I did, that you are what you consume. You are who you submerge yourself around, be it friends, be it influencers, be it podcasters. Now that I have different types of media that I consume, spirituality, business, I'm way more aligned and purposeful in what I do and what I'm feeling. Giving up all this toxic social media, these toxic news articles, these crime shows, these cold cases, healed my mental health exponentially more than any other therapies that I've tried in the past. I'm not naive to say that there's not these things happening in the world. I acknowledge that this is happening, but I don't need to submerge myself in this type of environment. I can do something about it. I can, volunteer my time. I can offer help in other ways, but to completely submerge my life from the moment I woke up to the time that I slept was not necessary, and it didn't do any favors for me. The reason why I took this break is because I didn't want to be anxious anymore. I didn't want to constantly feel threatened. I wanted to stop having nightmares, but in turn, it healed so many different aspects of my life. It made me feel like such a lighter person and more positive, that I strongly think that if you are going through any type of anxieties or stresses or feelings of loneliness, then maybe you should take a look at what type of content you're consuming or what you're listening to or the people you're hanging out with. It doesn't have to be physical people. It could be people you're listening to, like on podcasts and YouTube and watching on IG. Those are still considered what you're surrounding yourself with. So be a little bit more intentional with it and see if you notice any changes. And if you do, please let me know. I would love to know. But for me personally, there are so many areas of my life that got so much better once I stopped all this negativity and watching crime shows. Crazy, right? Well, thank you for staying till the end. That means that you love me. And of course, I love you. Hope to see you again soon.